market. There's a lot of back end stuff that I got to do before anything happens, but it is in the works for sure.
I stinking love that. And you know what? I just made a mistake. We got to actually redo the intro because I forgot something. But guess who's backstage is Miss Corianne. So let's rewind this. This is a week of bloopers. So let's start again. We're going to do the intro, y'all. Stand by. It's the three troublemakers. Corianne, I am not one-upping you, but come on, girl. Come on.
The bucket hat continues. That's amazing. Oh, my goodness. I just
told Austin, don't make it mean anything. This is not Colors, the movie. I know. I got blue. You have red. Austin's just, a guy with a baseball cap on. Anyway.
Repping Astro.
And is everybody doing?
Good. Straight Outta Compton was fun. If you're here watching us from there, give a little shout out in the comments. Always like to know where you're coming from. We actually kind of broke down the buyer mindset and the seller mindset over there, which was really fun. And yeah, I just feel like I'm getting my internet to jump over to this one.
I know, right?
Got the internet with me.
Yeah, you got to keep
it totally.
I'm trying to get my internet to allow me to share my screen, but it is not working so far. So,
all right, I'll drive, guys. We all need a captain. I'll drive, and then you, Austin, can play your usual role and just be bossy and tell me what I'm missing.
Deal. That works.
Deal. Hi guys, welcome. This is Compton Cali-Rado. My name is Corianne. I am licensed here in Colorado. I also am an investor, an artist. I'm fun to hang out with, and I want to get to know you guys. And more importantly, I want to close deals with you. So if you're in Northern California or you are, hit me up. That's what we're here for. I'm probably the Colorado specialist. Now, handing it off to my California specialist and favorite co-host and everything. How's it going, Renee? Tell the people who you are and why you're a baddie.
Couldn't be better. So I'm holding it down. In Colorado, I love that you guys are going to come to Northern California. So there's going to be a lot of collaboration. Here's the thing, guys, just because somebody, you might hear somebody say, oh, they're coming into your market, that you should get excited about, not bummed out about, because here's the thing. We all essentially have access to the same information, essentially. Sure, somebody's going to have an off market here or there. But you know what? It really is all about collaboration. And all these years later that I've been in the business, it really has to be about collaboration. You think you start out new in this game and you're going to do it all yourself, but then you quickly find out you need help. So I am doing excellent. I am doing a little bit of a summer break, but I can't talk right now. I'm showing up to do this. So I'm in New York City right now. It's actually 6 o'clock and the sun's still out. It won't go down until probably 9 or 9:30. But I am representing Cali because that is where my heart is. And so hence we call it Comping Cali-Rado. So we've got Colorado, California to start. Hi, Miss Joyce. I know Joyce had told me she has an address. So hopefully that still stands and she can put that in the chat. And you know what, guys, for anybody who's tuning in, you can kind of throw in any address, but we really prefer for it to be on the West Coast. And then we can help you at best. Could be anything. Could be multifamily, single family. Corianne, talk to us a little bit about land. Is that something we can bring up on the show?
Yeah, if we're going to comp land, it's going to take a minute. So if you bring a land deal, we'll probably save it to last because it takes about 10 minutes to get it done. But we can absolutely help you with land. Ideally, in California and Colorado, we do want to stick on point here. Those are always going to get prioritized. But yeah, the beauty of it is this is definitely more low key than anything you'll find on Straight Outta Compton. We're going to go by, I would say, just kind of more of what's the tone of the deal? How should we approach it? How should we actually negotiate it? And we'll take a little bit more time on each one. So that's just, a heads up to you all. This is really a good place to kind of get best of both worlds. And I suppose you want to know the handsome man that isn't often on screen. You get to see Renee and I every week on Ask an Agent Anything. But Austin likes to stay in the back end, making our business run. And I've coaxed him out to be consistently here on Comp in Cali-Rado. How are you, Austin?
I'm doing good. Busy day, but other than that, we're rocking and rolling.
I love that. He's like the quiet assassin. Never underestimate the ones that are thinking of all the details, because I flap my gums all day long, but I didn't come out
I consider myself a killer negotiator. Come to find out, there are people out there better than me. And the beauty of it is, if I feel like I've already laid down the law and I'm like, this is the negotiation, and they're still not listening, we just send Austin in, because he really is like the quiet assassin. He will take them out. I've heard the calls. I'm like, thank goodness that's my business partner.
I prefer to say that by knock it down. So we have some bowling analogies here.
Ooh, I like it. Okay, cool. We definitely have some addresses, y'all. I need you to read them to me though while I share my screen.
Okay,
Give me just a
let
second.
me put it up here so you guys can see it, right? Oh, let's lay some ground rules real quick, but Austin, go ahead.
Joyce's is a 3-unit, so it's gonna be tough on Privy. And then same thing with Peters. They're gonna have to go to Zillow for that one, just because of where it's at.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the heads up. I'll go to Zillow for Peters. Here's what we need from you, Joyce. We need to know what the rental costs are for each one of those units. Like, is there already somebody in there? How much are they paying in rent? Or are they all vacant? In which case we can kind of try to assess what those rents might be. But that's definitely a longer project. So let's kick it off with Peters. Give me 1 second. To go to Zillow.
And guys, even though you're here watching and people have actual addresses, I would encourage you to stay in practice. And so what does that mean? If you don't have an address to actually comp, go on Zillow, which is free, or Redfin, which is free. And if you have Privy, which is paid, and all of us utilize Privy, pick up an address. Just go into, especially Redfin, go into Redfin and look and just pick an address and put it in the chat. Be participatory. We can just give you what we think the price is, and then also what you think the price is. And we can play that game on this show as well. You don't have to be passive and just wait for us to give you an answer.
All right. A window. We're sharing the Zillow. Let's actually, voila la.
This is a
All right.
5-1.
What's the Addy?
It's a 734 North Street in Rio Linda, California. It's probably going to pull you to some kind of a multi-family-ish looking thing first, but you can get around it, essentially.
Okay, so it is a single family.
You're going to have to click the agent listing one right there.
You got it. We're on our way, y'all. Boom. Okay, so the first thing I'm looking for, a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 1,600 square feet, priced at $349, 1958, 7,000 square foot lot. Let's just see what they have to say. Okay, so we're only 20 hours on Zillow. We literally just hit, and 5 saves. Okay. This 5-bedroom, 1 bath home is a fixer-upper. I believe you. It needs some TLC. Great. Where is it located?
It's just north of Sacramento, so decent area.
Lot lines. Okay, so I can, just so you guys know how to navigate Zillow a little bit better, I can pull out of this and filter and look for solds. That's a great way to comp. That's how like a Jamil is comping on Straight Outta Comping. Right now, I just want to see what's in the immediate area. So I'll click on the map and I'll hit lot lines, because what it'll do is it'll show me the solds. So I'm just like, okay.
Say that again, Corey. Go a little slower, because I know some people like follow Jamil, but they don't really understand what he's doing because he's going so fast.
Yes, I will clarify it again. So if I'm in the Addy, which is this one, right? Was it Sing? No.
No, 734 North. Shit. What was it?
Sorry.
North.
My computer.
North Street. Just North Street. or N Street, I guess.
Let's try this again. So there are just a few different ways to get to solds. If you're looking in here and quickly want to see what's in the immediate neighborhood, there's a lot of work that needs to be done to this property, I can tell. So first I have to be in the listing. I don't understand why it separates like this.
The garage is converted on this too, so I want to see what the actual square footage is.
Okay. Dear internet, run faster. I'm gonna come down to the map that's right under 20 hours on Zillow. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna take away my face and I will be a voice in the sky. Give me 1 second. Oh, won't let me. Okay. Never mind. Here we are. Here's the map. It immediately pulls up and everything. I click the open it bigger. And then I hit lot lines. That automatically is going to switch it over to solds. Here's the issue with only looking at it this way. You can't filter. So for example, the 395 I clicked on was in 2021. That's outrageous to be a comp. So this is a good way of just seeing like very quick sold data, but it's not going to show you a filter of that. So the way to get there.
Also, usually if you just press back, like if you just press back to search, it'll usually drop you into right above where you're at. Usually.
Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to show. So that's exactly what it did. It pulled up the one that's for sale.
Yeah, and then
and
you
where we're at.
Filter that way.
Perfect. I'm going to zoom in. He's the one that always comps in Zillow. If it's in Zillow, I'm like, it's too hard. Give me a number.
Yeah, that's how I think.
Sold. It's not fun. Apply. Then I'm also going to go to more years sold. Sold in the last, I only want to see in the last 6 months max. So apply. Oh, you guys are getting the long version of this. I hope it's helpful. Oh, that's a lot sold in the last 6 months. Hot tamale.
Is that? Wow.
Okay. It filtered down. We're not crazy here. Let's click on this 265.
Slow. Yeah.
Do you ever just like have those days where your brain runs 3 times faster than technology and you're just like
every day?
Oh wow, this is going slow.
I know.
I try to share my screen
because every time this happens, I feel like two bed, 2 bath, 1,200 square feet. This is a 265. It's in the right neighborhood. What was our comps, our subject property again? Because it definitely wasn't a single family. It like had the second floor.
It's 1,600 square feet. It is a single family technically. It is weird though, because nothing else over here has that same elevation, like at all. So I've been trying to find more information on it, but I cannot.
That can really hurt you. I'm taking just a minute to find a comp where my computer's not lagging at such a slow speed so we can keep moving. To everybody that is still here, thank you. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I've been, I comped it a little bit while you've been looking, just like on my end. I don't see a ton that's really viable. Everything immediately like on N Street or surrounding like Alphabet and Number Streets is much smaller. And nothing has this elevation. So you may not be able to find an exact comp for it. You may just have to find the best comp for it and do it that way.
And with this, I wouldn't recommend doing like a price per square foot. That's kind of a secondary way of looking at this. Usually in my world, that's more for condominiums. Maybe it's getting a little too much minutia with data, with price per square foot. But Peter, you know, and to the listening audience, when you have something that doesn't have a really viable comp, it kind of can go either way. If you're trying to wholesale it and you don't already have a buyer on the line that's a yes for you, it could bite you in the butt if you get it under contract and can't move it quickly with the agent. You don't want to burn that relationship, because flippers, and they don't want to be urban pioneers. You know, they don't really want to take the risk to do the flip if there isn't something else that's viable. So it's just a consideration about getting anything under contract. And put in the comments, Peter, if this is something for yourself. Is it a buy and hold? Like, what is your strategy for this? So, you know, you're just looking for a number, or do you have a buyer in mind that this might fit for?
Yeah, I don't know that you're gonna be able to find an actual comp for it, but I mean, I'd say it's probably in the 375 to 410 range, just based on what's selling around it. But also, it's so much different. Actually, what is this? This is similar-ish.
Yeah, I can find something that sold last month for $429. It's 1,800 square feet, so it's bigger, and it's got a 3-bed, 2-bath, so it's got an extra bathroom. Sold at $430. Not beautiful, but nice. And I think that alone you can adjust. Let's use the appraisal rules. We're going to knock off 10K for the bathroom. We're going to knock off at least another 10K because of just that extra square footage that doesn't make sense. Plus, our comp is a single family, and ours is that 2-story, which is much harder to sell. So we've got to like give it some knocks from the 430 that is just nicer. And I would put that at like a 375 is the safe after repair value of this property. It also is going to need a ton of work. So need a calculator. 1 second.
Austin, did you say in the 300s? I would say almost 200s, really. And then if you're trying to wholesale it.
Oh, no, for an offer, yeah, you're going to need to be extremely low. I'd say on this one, you want to be probably like 65%.
Yeah.
So using a 375, I mean, I'd offer maybe 230, sell it at like, you know, 240, 250.
Yeah.
But with the other thing to look at really quick here is, Corian, if you share your screen, or if you can't, I can try.
No, I got you. I just want to do it sparingly so I don't crash things. What am I looking for?
Where it says 20 hours on Zillow. No, where it says 20 hours on Zillow, like on the actual listing of it.
Oh, yeah. 1 second. I got to go back to it. 734?
734 North End Street.
Yeah. Great. Short-term memory still working. Okay. 2020 right here. What about it?
So this is a very quick and easy check to see how they're priced. Like if you can't figure out a comp for something, or you know, you look at something and you feel like it's priced very well or very poorly. This has 297 views, so it's priced well enough to catch your eye, but it also only has 5 saves. So that means that the amount of people that clicked on it versus the amount of people that were actually interested in it is very different. So that immediately tells you that it's priced decent for the area, but it's overpriced for what it is, if that makes any sense at all. Now, for example, if this had 2,000 views and 500 saves in 20 hours, which I've seen before, you know, like as a wholesaler, you may not want to go after this because there's clearly some kind of bidding situation happening. And you know what I mean? Like that's a very good tell of what is actually going on with it, of how the market's receiving it, I guess is a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is real.
Okay. So By the way, that works great in land. Like that's a fantastic way to see whether or not something's going to sit there for the next 3 years or going to go in the next few months. Peter, your after repair value, we're seeing about a 375. Unless an agent can bring something that is truly a comparable and actually has that split level. And then I would offer 225, aiming to resell it to your buyer at 235, 240, depending on how deep their pockets run. See how it goes. Come report back to us how it goes. We're rooting for you. Is
Also,
that
if you have
something
a
you
good
would
relation,
dispo, Renee? Because that's closer to your area.
no, that's right in our area too.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
but
farther.
if
Oh,
But
okay.
to answer your
Perfect.
question though, I wouldn't. And here's why, because I like what Peter said. We can all learn from this. Okay. So he said it's a wholesale. He's trying to wholesale it. No buyer in mind, hoping a buyer that I know in the area might be interested. So please don't hear this in any negative way, but there isn't anything powerful in the language about this, right? You're saying hope and might. And so what that tells me is that you're not confident that you actually have a buyer. So this is already on market. So it's going to be a little tricky if you go to a buyer, right, in your area, that this person can look up the address and go, great, I'm probably going to go right around you. Maybe, I hope not, but that's a possibility, before you get it, quote unquote, locked up, right? So I think it has a lot to do with your relationship with the buyer. Don't just go out here locking up anything and then hoping, but that if you can get it in the prices that we talked to you about, then it should be able to execute. I would just keep it really lean and mean. I would not get it under contract probably for more than maybe 4 days even, because if you're not going to get any bites on it, don't go shopping it around based even on what Austin said, and you want to salvage that relationship with the agent. So make sure in the future that if this is not really kind of closer to a slam dunk and maybe a might, my recommendation would be not to get it under contract. Somebody else might tell you to take the swing.
yeah, and in terms of I'm hoping a buyer that I know in the area might be interested. If this is a buyer that you've worked with before and trust, like I'll do this with buyers, especially if my head tells me this is 1 day on market, I'm $120,000 off from where they're listed. It can't hurt to at least call the buyer and ask them. You know what I mean? If it's a buyer that you've worked with, just be like, hey, just saw that this hit the market. If I can bring this to you at 250, it's listed at 350. Is that something you'd be interested in? If so, I'll go work on it. If not, I'm just going to pass because you're the only guy I really thought of for this one. But again, there is the chance if you don't know this buyer very well, they could go around you. But again, I also have the opinion they go around you. It's better to learn that lesson up front with somebody than build. Yeah, exactly.
You can, I'll say it, you can blacklist them, maybe give them a second chance, have an adult conversation about it, give them the benefit of the doubt, decide what direction you want to go in. But, take the high road. I mean, for those of you on the call that know Jamil and Pace, this is essentially what their relationship was. Jamil took the high road. Jamil was a wholesaler or a micro flipper, really, that was looking to have more opportunities be fed to him. Pace originally was that person. And he would go to Jamil and say, hey, Jamil, if I lock up 123 Main Street, or, what would you buy this at? And Jamil would say, I will buy it at X dollars. And then Pace would go back and get it locked up at X dollars. But they had that reciprocal relationship that Jamil was not essentially going to go behind Pace's back, because Jamil is a good guy. He wanted, everybody to win. He wanted Pace to win, and he didn't have the time to go do that. So I think a lot of law of attraction comes into play on this as well. Vet your people, vibe your people. If you sense it, if you get that little niggle in your gut that maybe someone's going to do you wrong, then don't play that game with them. But there's plenty of people out here that don't have the time to go do that, and they want to see you win, and they want to have a reciprocal relationship, just like, say, a Jamil and Pace. And look where that ended up. So just consider that in the background while you're doing business.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
100%.
And one of the things that you said that we just kind of said, but no, I want you to hear, because we're trying to save you time from the fact that we've made these mistakes before, is if you do not have it sold within 48 hours to 72 hours, you need to be making moves to either drop that price, utilize a different dispo, or something like that, because you will burn agents if you cancel the day before or the day of the last day of your inspection, because you've held on so tightly to maybe you'll find that one right buyer. It's either a deal or it's not a deal. You find out very quickly. if you don't have the resources to find out quickly, that's why you're here, because we can find out quickly for you, and we'd love to do deals with you. So
Yeah,
my
and last
question
tidbit
right now.
on that. Go ahead.
You first.
I was gonna say that also goes for retrades.
Mhm.
If you're working with any dispo worth their buck, or you have your own decent buyers, you'll know within the first 48, 72 hours if this is at the right price or not. And if it's not, I'd always say, like, for example, if I have a deal locked up at 550 and I send it out and I get 5 offers that day at 525, I'm going to call the agent that day. Be like, hey, I think I made a whoopsie here. I really need this at 515. Can we do this or not? If not, I don't want to just hold you guys up. Could a better offer come at the end of inspection period? Sure, but you could also burn the relationship if it doesn't.
Yeah, Corian and I are agents and out here in the real world. And the worst thing an agent wants to hear is a quote unquote retrade, honestly, based on nothing.
Yeah.
Now, that word retrade gets thrown around a lot in the world of specifically wholesaling, if not investors in general. And it's almost like there's an entitlement that the price is going to be reduced. Now, you can strong arm a retrade and be like, look, I'm your only person on the line. You know what? Are you going to go back on market? Do you want to go through the whole rigmarole, all that? And most sellers, if they're serious about selling their property, are willing to just kind of like sigh of relief and say, fine, I'll retrade it. But the thing is, in real estate land with realtors, we are accustomed to seeing some kind of feedback for a justification on a price reduction, which means it's usually an inspection. So I want the listening audience to know that it's not an entitlement that you're going to come back and retrade. Now, you might win the short-term punt, but the long-term relationship with that agent might actually get burned, because agents are the fall guys in all these deals. And so if the investor comes back and says, oh, they need a price reduction of X based on nothing, you didn't do any inspection, you probably didn't even walk the property. Imagine if you were the seller, why are you going to reduce the price because you just put out a request, based on nothing, right? So it's a strategy, but it's not an entitlement. So I caution this audience about the conversations that you're hearing on other YouTube channels that just say, I'm going to retrade it and I'm going to get it. Because even if you get it, you might lose the relationship on the agent. So just think twice about where you're going with relationships. Real estate is a relationship-based business, not a transaction-based business. Unless you just want to be in this business for a year, heed my call. You really don't want to.
All right. Renee's smart. She'll be teaching you into infinity, but we're here to comp.
I know. Go on to the next one.
Let's, here's my question. 95202. Will you really quickly, Austin, look up that zip code and tell me, does a 1-1 go for 1,400 to 1,500? Because here
Yes,
they're saying
I can
fully
tell
occupied.
Yeah, it will.
Okay, then I think as a rental, I'm not talking upgrades or anything like this, then as a rental at the 1% rule, like 570 would be reasonable, but it's not fully occupied now. So I would say this is pretty reasonably priced, but it's still been sitting here for 41 days. Why?
The area is part of it. If you're buying here, you're likely going to want to be above the 1% rule. With that, also, these probably aren't in the condition of those rents. So Joyce said that she spoke with the agent, 2 units that has not been updated, just needs cosmetic, 3 units in total. So even with the 1% rule, if you're buying cash, you want to factor in repairs. So if it's 570, but it needs 100 grand worth of work, you really want to buy closer to 450 so that you could be all in, have a little equity, and still meet that 1%. And on the flip side of it, if you ever plan on refining, interest rates are going to kill your cash flow here. So I would I would get pictures of the inside, because I do agree. I think it's close. I just think a lot of who they're targeting here is likely a sweat equity investor. They're probably looking for a first-time house hacking buyer, and those are virtually non-existent in this market. So this is going to have to go to a real buy and hold investor. A real buy and hold investor is going to want to see a much deeper discount, especially if they have to come do work, and it's in this area. Because in this area, there is I mean, you run the risk of, you know, your flips being broken into, all kinds of things happening, because this isn't the most phenomenal part of town.
So really, if it were a house hack, that, yeah, I could see how that would probably be a really reasonable pickup price in this area if you're going to live in the 2-2 and then rent the other ones out. But look at all these other multifamily. This one sold. How big is this one? I just found a little compy comp. This is property includes. Okay, so this one doesn't look like it's a multifamily yet. Oh wait, currently generating 4,000 and it sold for 475. That's really interesting. Okay, so a little bit more difficult on the fact that buy and hold buyers, there's not a ton that are going to take on this area, so they're going to want to see a discount from where this has been sitting on market.
Well, they'll definitely take on the area. It's just not at 1%, because the Stockton in general is a super like heavy rental market. I mean, it's one of the cheapest rent places in NorCal. Granted, there's reason for it, right? So those reasons you also have to factor into the mindset of a buyer, that they're not going to pay the same price for something here that they would go pay, you know, in Manteca or Modesto, which are like cornering cities that aren't as rough. You know what I mean? So there's kind of a discretion here, but my best bet would honestly be if you can find another triplex. That's really how you comp these. But if for a flip, I don't think this is a flip based on where they're priced, and based on, you know, the description of it seems more like they're trying to pitch the buy and hold. I would find a buy and hold investor out here. There's a ton of them. I would honestly call Joyce. What I would do is I would call all of these recent multifamilies that sold, because multifamily is a little different than single family. Anybody who buys a multifamily is an investor in some way, shape, or form. You got to find the person that doesn't live there and is buying and holding it, because they'll be able to give you more information. With these types of things, it's very like comping matters, but also kind of, if that makes any sense at all. It's not really a set in stone type of thing.
I would definitely see if this is an LLC that bought, and see if you can contact them. And you're not going to say, I have another one for you that's on the market. No, you're just going to ask, hey, I saw you bought this. Are you a buy and hold investor? Oh, okay, awesome. What kinds of properties do you buy? What's important to you, etc. And see if this 475 matches up with the one you have. I have a sneaking suspicion it is. So if you offered 465 on our subject property and resold it to this guy at 475, that's a deal. Like, that's headed in the right direction. But I would also have a conversation with a few buy and hold buyers to confirm that, because those are just harder moves, and those tenants are staying in them. There's like 2 of them. It sounds like the tenants are staying. So I hope you're tracking with us, Joyce. Drop any questions if you've got them.
Yeah, and also I know like 2 buy and hold investors out here that mainly do single family, but they may be able to give me some insight on this. So if you can send this to the deals email also, and I can, you know, touch base with some people and see if I can get you some better feedback.
Let's keep going. North Hollywood. Renee, this is going to be your moment.
Let's see. Let's bring it up.
It's gonna be
Hey,
your
Shante.
moment.
Thanks for being here.
Will you read me the Addy, please?
11137 Valley Springs Place in North Hollywood. Yeah, 11137.
Hey, look, we got privy access. Columbus.
Hey, I know, this is so exciting. Ohio's been begging for it. Congratulations, Ohio. All right. 14 days on market, 3-bed, 3-bath, 1938. Right next to that highway. Not backing it, but that's okay. It does? Nice. Oh yeah, it does. I see it in the photo.
The lot is huge. This is Toluca Lake. I believe, not just North Hollywood. Trying to see the photo.
Do you see the map in the corner? Let me see if
A
I
little
can.
bit, yeah. It's a smidge blurry on my end.
Yeah, it's across the highway from Toluca Lake, basically.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
But let's see what's going on. How ugly are we talking about on the inside? There's your pool. Okay, we took a lot of photos of the pool. We're glad there's a pool. And no photos of the inside. That's not a good sign.
You know what's interesting is when you see a pool like that with the slide and the diving board. Don't quote me on this, but I think you can't have those anymore, or they have to be at a different regulation, particularly the slides. So the fact that that looks like 1975 tells me that that pool probably hasn't been resurfaced in any way. And when there's ground moving and so forth, even though the water's in the pool, I'd be really curious if there's anything wrong with it. They probably don't even know. So incredible development opportunity. It's probably a tear down. They're considering a tear down on that property then.
Shantae says she has inside.
Yeah, they did
as
say
well.
development.
And
just give us a feel for it.
She says complete update, but the home isn't trashed. So I'd say full cosmetic.
Yeah, it's probably like a grandma.
Also though, in this price point, a full cosmetic may mean, knocking out some walls, opening up some, some spaces, depending on when this was built. Renee, would you agree with that over here? Build. It doesn't matter as much.
Yeah. I mean, this niche is going to demand that. And honestly, I can just tell even at 2.2, this is high. This is a high ask. And I don't think it's been on the market that long. I can't see the square footage of the place, but okay, let's look.
Let's double check square footage. It doesn't say.
Okay, yeah. Shantae said that her and the agent were talking about it's going to need some opening up inside.
Yeah.
I believe that's what she's referring to.
My guess is the play on this, and typically who does buy in this area are buy and hold. So at that higher price, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a trust, maybe a probate. I don't know. Somebody's coming up with crazy numbers here for this condition.
This is cute at a 2.3, like next door.
Yeah.
It's open, you can tell, like breezy and airy. But if that's the change that you make, oh gosh, it was active for 324 days though. Yikes.
Sounds like wrong.
Okay, so square footage here is 2156. I don't know if we found that.
We didn't, so thank you. So not that big, but there's your new build potential.
Yeah, that's what.
So if that's what they're hoping for. So if you take 4.5 mil times 0.2, where does that land us? Anybody got a calculator handy? I'm trying not to move my computer.
At about 905. Probably at about 905. I mean, 905 is 20%, but Renee, you think you could push this over the million mark or no? Just based on location? Because I know there's certain parts of like Denver, for example, where it's not always 20%. Like I've seen land picked up at, especially when you get into these kinds of price points of the $4.5, $5 million homes. I've seen them picked up at like 35 to 40%. I don't know how that translates to SoCal though. Because I know construction's much more expensive.
There's zero chance, in my opinion, that house would sell for $900,000 in that condition. I mean, I just know that's like 20-year ago prices for that neighborhood and that house. Somebody would pick it up for more than that. Yeah. So my guess is that I believe it's overpriced with a 2 in front of it. But the hope is probably that someone, it could be an end buyer, is going to come along and put in like a back house or something of the sort. I think that's just jerry-rigging everything. Probably better to tear it down and start over. But, you're talking, what, 2.2 plus at least $1 million, maybe, let's call it $1 million to put in a new house. Now we're at 3.2. I mean, there's no
What's
profit
your
there.
what's your take on it selling? What are you seeing for like construction costs out there? Like for a new build? Because I know in Denver it's about 200 a square foot right now. I'm assuming it's probably about 3 in LA.
We could go high like that because that little niche neighborhood is probably going to demand it, plus anything that's wrong with the pool. And I think the better use of space is to either build an addition on the property and or some kind of granny flat house, or redo the garage or something like that and put a apartment above it. That's never inexpensive. It's like a
Corey, what was the square footage of that 4.5? Can you find it again?
Huge. It was like 5,000. Yeah, 5,679, but under our lot size. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry, our lot size is bigger than this one.
Okay, so running it at $300 a square foot, it's going to cost about 1.7 to build. 35% of that puts you at about a 1.5 purchase price. That would put you all in at 3.1. If you can sell near 4.5, there's definitely profit in there.
Yeah, having a 2 in front of it, it's too high right now.
Do you think a builder would pick that up at about 35% down there, or just based on location and where it's at? Because I know this seems to be a decent little area.
That is.
Seems tucked off enough from, the madness that is LA while still getting Hollywood.
Yes and no. I mean, it's more like Studio City, so it's on the back side of it. So it's definitely more family oriented and a quieter, so people, it's more sought after. I would call it Studio City rather than even North Hollywood. But I like the 1.5. That's really
What'd they buy this at?
Yeah, that's the next question.
That's literally where I was headed. Get out of my head. So there it was, ugly. They bought it in 2020 for 1.5. Oh my gosh, Renee, you know your market.
1.5. I mean, give or take, guys, right? Yeah.
Honestly, I personally would adjust that and say, okay, in 2020, let's see when in 2020, because obviously that's a big deal. Towards the end of 2020. Okay. Interest rates, those were amazing. Risk was high, but I would say the 1.5 at least has to be where you are selling it, not where you're picking up. So I'd pick up at a 1.3, put it out there at 1.5, and you got plenty of wiggle room to take the offers that come in the door. That's not going to be an easy negotiation, but man, what you're selling them on is the fact that it's going to cost you to tear down that home to then rebuild. So you're saying, hey, here's the, I have to put cost in to even get it to the ground floor before I buy the build.
Yeah.
So costs are getting a little crazy.
Cost and holding costs. I mean, it's like probably going to be a year, maybe even a year and a half before the total execution on that whole thing. So
yeah, I mean, that one they held for 3. So you know what I mean? It's with new builds, especially in the luxury, it can get very prolonged very quickly. Like just with sitting on the market and permits and making sure because if you're building a $5 million house, you can't cut any corners. It has to be pristine condition when you're done with it. So but I mean, I still think if you can pick it up at, if a buyer can pick it up at 1.5 and even put $2 million into it, they have $1 million of profit there to play with. So
yeah.
Because honestly, a buyer,
a
good builder would probably be okay with taking, $600,000 to $700,000 profit on it, and that's a hefty profit. I mean, you're breaking 10% on $4.5 million. So I think there's a deal if you can get it.
Like a builder developer, not just a one-off person. They probably already have things in momentum. It could take as much as a year from start to finish, but they're going to move through it quickly. They already have the finishes. We know how that rolls, so it's as challenging. So maybe $1.5 million, maybe $1.7 million, depending on they're grabbing from Peter to give to Paul, right? Anyway.
Yeah, and Shantae, if you get it locked up, that whoever built that one, that would be my first call.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And call me Shantae. I do know buyers that are buying those. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, that's why we're here, so that we can do deals with you guys together. Sadie, I saw your Texas property. We are not Texas specialists. We are California and Colorado specialists. But what I can tell you is that you are so right. And if you're not seeing any comps around it, don't waste your time because you need buyers to buy the deals that you're going after. So if you're not seeing an activity, hence no comps, save yourself the time. Don't jump off that cliff. It's exhausting.
Agreed.
Alrighty, guys. We have a little bit of time left where our brain is available to you. Do you have any questions about comping? Do you have any questions about privy? Do you have any questions about the market in California or Colorado? Or do you have an address? If not, we will let Renee teach you.
Yeah, and also let us know if you like how we talk through things, because we can definitely make it a little more Jamil style where we're just spitting out numbers. But I think it's more helpful to think out loud essentially, so that you guys can try to pick up these same thought processes. But again, if it's too slow for you and you just want numbers, I can definitely bring that to the table as well.
Yeah, this is our show, right? So obviously the three of us have decided to kind of pull together and put our brains together. And this is for all of us, to get to learn. I mean, if there's anything that I could say also, given how to comp, that thing, I think all three of us would agree that this is the biggest sticking point for anyone getting into this business is comping. People get spooked. They're not sure how to do it. And this goes back to general psychology. The only way out is through. You will never just be able to rely on somebody else unless that person is maybe your business partner. So I would recommend that you just do practice. Consider it like a sport, doing free throws and the LeBron James stuff and the Kobe Bryant stuff. You'll hear them in interviews again and again. They get up at 3:00 in the morning and they do the same 5 to 10 moves. That's what you're doing here. You're comping over and over again. So if we make it sound simple, it's only because we put the hours in. And so if you're choosing a market, I would recommend that you choose a market and stay in that market for some time, 6 months or even a year, not just because you don't want to be getting shiny object syndrome, but you really want to drill down and understand the minutia. Like I live near that neighborhood and I know that neighborhood and I know the buyer. I know it's not that I'm saying this to brag. It's saying because I live there and I understand these neighborhoods. If I went into St. Louis, I can't speak to that. So you guys, when you're picking your markets, really be smart about this. This is a business. This is not a side hustle. And it starts here in understanding your market.
Agreed.
And I mean, I've been doing this for quite some time. I think I'm pretty good. I mean, I luckily get to be and feel honored to be the co-host of one of the best comping shows out there. And I would tell you that I still check with Austin. I'm still like, check my numbers. And the reason is to have a second pair of eyes, to have somebody that's backing you up and kind of giving you that air pie out there and do it is fodder. It's like helping build that backbone so that you can do this over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. Because also, I mean, Jamil will tell you this too on Straight Outta Comp. And if every time you bring an address and you're like, hey, can you comp this for me? I mean, he says this more on the private coaching calls than on, Straight Outta Comping. But if you bring in an address every call and you're like, hey, I think ARV's 450 and he comps it, and every single time your ARV's 450, he'll tell you like, hey, bro, just go ahead and do it. You know what you're doing. You don't need, what I mean? Like, you don't need to bounce that off. You got it. So that is also another reason, is just to double check. But always, what I will say is if you're going to call somebody else for a comp, if you're bringing it here, it's one thing. But if you're going to call somebody directly for a comp, please comp it first.
Yeah.
Give them an idea of where you're at. Don't just start spewing addresses at people because it will get quite annoying.
Please and thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we've all been known to do that. I've been known to do that. We get so busy in the day where we just kind of want somebody to take care of it, right? And I may have done that to you, Austin. So apologies if I did do that. It's just like you're trying to, manage everything. But once you get a system in place and you've earned the right to do that, then there should be a template, obviously, that you would follow. Yeah. And I believe that is something that Jamil probably doesn't talk about enough, but it is within Astro Flipping that you have a template and you send that out as a template to your buyers. But how about send that out as a template to anyone that you're looking for assistance with? Like Joyce, for instance, if Joyce is still here, so she just put in the address. What would have been helpful is also to say what it is. Is it a single family home? Is it multifamily? Any of these little things, I think we kind of step over it like, oh, the person will just look it up and figure it out and give me all the answers. But, we're busy in the day. So the more basic information you can provide anyone, I think the simpler it can become. Would you guys agree with that?
100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Plus that you're learning from that, because it's way easier for me to come back to you and go, this comp was off and here's why, and this is off and here's why, and you're going to learn better that way than just throwing me an address and me throwing you back a number.
Absolutely.
And the goal is that you learn that you can run a business on your own, right?
And I'm a firm believer
and
that,
also, I mean, like Renee said,
go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're sending addresses to somebody to comp, you likely trust their judgment enough in such that they're probably doing business. And like for me, for example, when we were in Florida and doing a bunch of JVs, nothing would make me delete an email faster than just, hey, what's ARV for 123 Main Street? I don't know. There's 15 other deals in my email with full information and pictures and the whole breakdown on it and what they think. I gotta you know what I mean? Like that, you gotta position yourself accordingly when asking for help in general, not just with comps.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's imperative.
And that's why you want to show up to here. There's a lot of psychology to sales, and there's a lot of psychology to real estate that you could probably pick up watching a lot of shows, but I think a lot of it's just being on the court. And that's what's so great about, us three being here, because we get the opportunity to bring our experiences, and you're not necessarily going to hear, make sure that you put a template, make sure that you include the pictures. I mean, all of this sounds really obvious, but Austin just said something really important, like nothing will get your email deleted quicker. And guess what? You're never going to know why. Then you're probably going to make Austin wrong for it. Austin's a jerk. Austin never gets back to me. But the reality is, it's like, look at the three fingers back at you. What are you not doing that isn't getting you the answer? And I say this as tough love, to the audience, where maybe get back at an Austin and say, hey, I've sent you 3 addresses and you haven't responded. Don't be accusatory, right, when you send this. But how can I best support what you need? Is there something that was missing? These kinds of things, because it's very quick. What is it? The cancel culture. People are very quick to cancel people, and maybe it's just a matter of communication. So mind that as well in this
Yeah.
space.
It's always a matter of communication.
That's one of my values. Clear, concise communication is a personal value of mine, and I'm telling you, it has saved relationships. So you're all welcome to steal that.
We'll save deals too.
Save deals, save everything, save your marriage, for God's sakes. Clear, concise communication.
Yeah.
I mean,
Agreed.
It's totally true. All right, guys. Well, I still have you. You're still watching, but we're, on our way out the door. We're back to running our own businesses. I would love your input on what you need. Like, if right now you will just shout out wherever you're watching, first hit the like button, then subscribe, then put in the comments, this is where I'm doing business and this is what I need help with. Because if we're not going to bring it here on Comp in Cali-Rado, you can catch Renee and I on Tuesdays at 2 MST, and we bring people that are smarter than us to the table so that we can learn from them. And if you need help somewhere in your business, then we'll go hunt down the person that can help, and we'll bring them to one of these two. So if you're out there, just tell us who you are, what you're doing, how we can help. Really, this is a who you know game. It's a who you know and what they need, and knowing what they need and matching that to the right person. Because that's our business, right? Is to know our buyer, to know what they need, to know where they buy, and to go personal shop for it, find it, negotiate it to that price, and then match it.
And also,
if you don't like knowing
be known.
people, then be known. Dude, that's huge. I mean, if you don't like knowing people and like talking and kind of being out there and doing that, then I hope you like numbers. And then you need to find somebody that likes people to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Yep. Amen. And that's any business.
Exactly.
And we both need each other, right? So like, I'm pretty much, know enough to be dangerous about every element of my business, and I'm better at other things and I enjoy other things. And that's where you relinquish some control. And so, I get it. We've all been there, and y'all, you want to keep 100% of your profit, but the truth is you just can't scale that way. And when you butt up against having almost a nervous breakdown because you worked too hard, you'll go find your other person. So heed the call. Don't do that. Treat yourself better. Go just spread the wealth, and you'll do.
I was just about to say. Yeah, I was just about to say 100% of the profit also means 100% of the stress, and it's just you to figure out the problem. You know what I mean? So it's not if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with people, I guess is the way to say it.
That's what it said. Fast, maybe because you know what you're doing and you can kind of control everything. Maybe that's how I hear that. But I almost disagree with that adage because you can only go so fast for so long. They forgot the other part of that sentence, right? So maybe out of the gate, you're going to be in the front of the house and then back in the kitchen making the food. But after a while, you can't do everything. And so, look, everyone's going to make mistakes. We can shout from the hills what works and doesn't work. But I do hope that something resonated with the audience today. And if it's one thing, put it in to the comments. Let us know. Give us some feedback. We're just kind of talking to talk with our experience, but please let us know what you guys want, what you need, what you want to hear more of, less of, and we're going to bring it. And definitely tune in to Ask an Agent Anything for sure on Tuesdays, especially this Tuesday. There's a young woman, I think she's about 23 or 24. She is smashing this game. She lives in Seattle, Washington, a very competitive market as well, knows how to comp quickly, only buys wholesales in Seattle, Washington. Okay, only buys wholesales in Seattle, Washington. So you may want to tune into that and find out and ask her questions, because let me tell you, this gal is hard to get a hold of. And so when we bring people on the show, we're going to pick their brain and come along with us and join the conversation.
Yeah. Hi, Joyce. Just starting in California, she needs some buyers. If you need connections to buyers in the Sacramento area or Northern California, just hit us up at deals@closewithkickflip. If you need connections to buyers anywhere in SoCal, then you need to hit up Renee. Renee, where should she find you?
Yeah, Joyce and I are buds, so she knows how to get a hold of me. But for anybody else, you can either make a comment here on YouTube. Make sure you get my name. I'm the only one in the world with that name, so you can get me on Facebook or on Instagram that way as well, and then we can connect offline.
Beautiful. And with that, we're at the end of our hour. It is always fun to hang out with you two. Thank you for making the time. To everybody in the comments, I hope we brought you some value. Thank you for giving us back your time. Hit us up if you need anything. That's what we're here for. And we'll be back next Wednesday, same time.
I love it. All right, you guys, be safe.
Right.
Bye.